Welcome to Between the Shelves, the premier Sable Library podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about our reading thus far through 2026. We're doing a little bit of a mid-year reading check-in. And to do that, I am joined this week by our Assistant Director, Tim. Welcome, Tim.
Hello.
Marianne, Head of Teen Services.
Hi.
And for the first time joining us, Adult Services Librarian Ellen. Welcome.
Hello.
Yay.
Can't believe it's your first time. So let's get into it. What's everyone's 2026 reading life like?
I have switched over to mostly audiobooks over the last probably year because my reading habits are usually like during my lunch break. That's when I read. And I've been doing a lot of artwork work on my lunch break now, so I'm just like super focused on audiobooks, but I've listened to some really good ones. The last one that I finished was Yesteryear. I just finished it this morning, but we'll talk about that another time. Pillars of the Earth, Ken Follett. That's like a classic.
Doorstop.
It was, I think, 40 hours long. So it was as epic as you could possibly be. It definitely had, it scratched that Game of Thrones itch for me, which I love. And it was great. It was every bit the classic that people have said it is. A little dated in some parts, but amazing.
Is that the first in a series?
Follett hit it up a few times over, this book I think was from the 90s. So I think he's gone back to it at least twice in that world, but I have no idea what the other ones are about.
Yeah. It's maybe the same universe, but they all can be treated as standalones.
Yeah, and the big premise of this one was a church being built. And in the I think it was I thought it was the 1500s. It might even be earlier than that, though. And just the beginning of those classic medieval style churches and how the politics of it and the church politics, King Henry II. So whenever he was around, that's when this mostly took place.
Yeah. When my dad passed, I inherited all of his books, and he had a few Ken Follett books that have just been sitting on my shelf, just staring at me every time I walk by them. I'm like, one of these days I'll tackle those.
They're big boys.
They're big boys. Yeah, they're doorstops. Cool. I'll go next. My 2026 started off great. I was charging into this year with a lot of great books, and then I hit a wall around the end of February and basically stretched all the way through March. I don't know what it was. I think it kind of coincided with me. I'm in school right now, so it was like kind of wrapping up with my projects and stuff, and I just didn't have time for reading. And I was feeling kind of down to myself, like when you get in those ruts and you're just like, I'll never read again. That's it. Like, we had a good run. But since then, around like mid-April, I really kicked it back into gear, and I'm back to about where I am on average. I use Storygraph to check my reading, and it kind of charts out all the books you read. It gives you all sorts of infographics that are I like looking at nerdy book graphics, and so I'm back up to my normal pace. But yeah, like you, Tim, I'm also every year moving closer and more audiobooks compared to print books, and I think that's just lifestyle stuff. You know,
having kids,
never have a free hand.
Yeah,
but sometimes I have a free ear, so audiobooks definitely creeping in. But yeah, all in all. Other than that little snag, it's been a good year. I've got some nice books I want to highlight in this episode. A couple of lowlights, a couple of surprises, but overall it's been a good year so far. What about you, Ellen?
So I also have been going pretty hardcore in the audiobooks, but I have a tendency to have more than one book going at a time. So I choose one audiobook, and then I have usually one nonfiction and one fiction, sometimes a third trashy romance, which it doesn't really count because it's like instead of TV. So I'm not reading at the pace I was last year, but last year I did the Sophie Brody Award, so I had to read like pretty much nonstop. I think Marianne knows about that. So I've slowed down a little bit this year, but my big kind of push is that I decided that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and look at some of the like historically banned books. So I'm trying to pick one at a time and work through those. So those are on my list now.
Yeah, I did that last year. I checked off maybe 4 or 5 from the top 12 or 15 list.
Mm-hmm.
But every year I'm trying to get the whole list done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's noble. A lot of them are YA books, so you can kind of breeze through them pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure some of the trashy romances I love would be banned books if anybody ever actually read them. So I'm going kind of old school.
Well, it's a good way to get through some classics too.
Actually my current method is I put it on Libby on my phone and I read at the gym between sets. So it's like lift some weights, read some book. Lift some weights, read some book. So it's like little bite-sized pieces.
Helen is life maxing. Just curling while reading a Dostoevsky in the other hand.
Is this with like a hardcover? Because people are probably watching you like get off the...
No. I put it on Libby on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Wow, good for you. I could not concentrate. My brain I'm just so single-celled organism. Like I have to do like one thing at a time. I can barely breathe and exercise at the same time. Good for you.
Thanks.
What about you, Marianne?
So this year started out very strong. I was finishing up my committee that I was on, just like Ellen had mentioned, and I was reading a lot. I had to get through a lot. It was my 4th year on the committee. When I was done with that in January, everything shut down. And I could not get into a book forever. I still am so fatigued from reading because it was all literary fiction, nonfiction, poetry, really heavy stuff. I tried picking up a couple other literary fictions that I wanted to read. I couldn't get through them. I picked up like some favorite authors that I had read in the past 4 years from this committee, and then I would try and read their new one. I would give up after like the 2nd chapter. My brain was just like, could not focus on anything. I also moved during that period, so there was just a lot of like hecticness happening. So then I revisited some of my favorite books from years and years ago, thinking it would bring back my love of reading. One of my favorites, which was The Time Traveler's Wife. I read that one. It was like my 4th time reading it. I loved it. Then I picked up Frankenstein because that was one of my favorites ever from college. And I had such a hard time getting through with that one. I think because in college, you're so used to like the constant like brain activity of like critical thinking skills. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I'm not using those skills right now. So I had a very hard time getting through it, but I did get through it. And then I just started reading a lot of psychological thrillers. So that actually I was able to get back into it. A lot of Frida McFadden, some Chevy Stevens. Of course, I did the whole Game Changers series by Rachel Reed. So I was able to like turn off like the really hardcore literary fiction books and just kind of get through like easy psychological thrillers. And that's how my reading has been going. So I did finish, like Tim had mentioned, Yesteryear as well. And that's about as far as I can go into like a literary fiction where it's not really heavy.
But very dark.
And thought-provoking at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the page turners are a good way to kickstart that,
Page
get out
turner.
of that rut. We should do a whole episode on getting out of reading ruts.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
We should definitely
that's
do
a
that.
good idea. Yeah.
All right.
Another topic, bookmark that.
Future Alex, who's editing this episode, write that idea down. And Marianne already agreed to be on it. So.
Yes, I'll do it.
We could do the whole Game Changers.
Oh my God, I'm sure Alex would love that.
I might have
Did
read
you
all
read
them.
them all?
Oh, Rachel Reed and I are good friends. That's
you
the
read them
trashy
too?
romance. Yeah,
Yeah,
I read them years ago. And then I discovered them in my teenage daughter's room and was like, you enjoy those.
She's reading, yeah.
She's reading. She's my dyslexic kid, so whatever she reads,
Whatever she could get
I'm
through.
all in.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have a conversation about it with her.
I love that. Yeah.
But that's cool.
Between the Shelves Book Club. That's our next pick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, let it be.
Another thing you mentioned that stood out to me was not finishing books, letting books go. So in the past, probably before I had kids, really, I think that was a big changer for me is once I started a book, I saw it all the way through.
Same.
Because I felt like, well, I can't really judge a book until I finished it, and then I can review it as a complete, work.
Yeah.
I do not feel that way anymore.
No.
I will give a book 20% of the way through it before I make the decision, am I going to continue with this or not? Because time is just so limited. And if I'm not getting enjoyment out of it, by the 20% mark, I'm not going to enjoy the rest of it.
I've gotten 75% through a book. And I was like, I don't even care about this ending. My time is too precious now. And I'm like, I don't care. I didn't even skim it. I was just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I also have always been like that too, Alex, where I had to finish it. I had to see it through, no matter how long it took. But this, maybe in like the past year or two, I have also stopped. Like, there's just too much I want to read. There's too much I need to do in life. I can't read a book that I'm just not enjoying. And I have read not 75%, but I'd say maybe like 50% of a book and then just been like, all right, forget it. I don't even know what I read. I don't know what happened. And so, and also Goodreads added, I know.
Oh yeah, they finally added the
do not finish. I did not finish. Yeah. So I did put one book in there already. Yeah. But so anyway.
It's freeing though.
For me.
Giving yourself that option, that freedom to say, I'm moving on. It's okay.
It will find its reader. It's just not me. Yeah.
Literally the word I was going to use is freeing when you decide like, it's all right to walk away from this one.
And actually the one this year that I put in that is Remarkably Bright Creatures, which everybody loves. Everybody loves it. And I was just like, I can't stand this octopus. I can't stand, or this whatever. His voice was so annoying to me. It was so pretentious. Yes. I'm like, why do people like this book? And
so that's how I felt with his other book.
Which one was that?
Friends. Other People's Friends? I forget the name of it, but it's the same author. It was his latest book.
Okay.
And I also let that go after the first chapter or two because Jen, the director, we all read a lot of the same books, and she was like, "You just got to get through like the first third of the book, and then it really takes off." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can't stomach it. I'm good." There's plenty of other fish in the sea.
Yeah, that's almost a non-starter for me. If anyone, like a TV show especially, you just got to get through the first 6 episodes and then it clicks. I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I can do it on a TV show.
Well, it's a very much a video game conceit too. Alex is a big gamer and so am I. And you hear so often these games that take 150 hours sometimes to beat a game, and you got to get through the first 10 hours.
Yeah.
10 hours of your life. And then the game gets really good, and we're like, that's just not something I have the time to do anymore.
Yeah.
Video games, sorry, you just opened up my video game brain. So video games are a little different because they have to do a tutorial, where you get familiar with the game mechanics and everything, which takes, a little while, but sometimes that can drag out for too long and you just lose steam before you even get going in the game proper. But like a book shouldn't have that. Like a book, everyone, we know how to read. Like, let's go. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah. I did not like Remarkably Great Creatures either.
And you read the whole thing.
I listened to the whole thing, and I was like, well, that was lame.
Yeah, right?
It was too contrived.
I think that's a lot of those books. A Man Called Ove is, I think the same author. And it's just, most of his stuff rides the line of treacle, but then it's got some good character. The characters are what draws you in. But if you're too much in the sappiness, it's not going to be an enjoyable read.
And I finished A Man Called Ove, and it was fine. There was a movie too, right?
Yeah, the movie is not good though. But
and Tom Hanks.
Well, it's there's Tom Hanks it's the American version of the Swedish maybe.
Yeah.
But that book is something some people call it a classic. I don't know if it's a classic, but it is a really good book. But after that, there's not as many good ones in that he wrote that are as good as that.
After not finishing Remarkably Bright Creatures, I was all set to watch the show, or the movie. But then after putting it down, I was like, I don't even want to watch the movie now.
Watch the trailer, and you'll see it's even sappier. The trailer makes it look really corny. So yeah, just pass.
No thanks.
Yeah, the over saccharine stuff really irritates me. But anyways, that we can do a whole pet peeves episode. Let's do that too. Okay.
Note to future Alex.
Pet peeves episode. Okay, so we've talked about some of the things that didn't work for us, but were there any highlights of the year that anyone wants to put the spotlight on?
Great audiobook that I loved. It was so much fun. It's called Ballad of the Whiskey Robber. And I definitely suggest listening to it because it's got multiple voice actors. There is a whole soundtrack with different sounds and music, and it is so much fun. I think it was just, I was like looking through Libby for something to read, and it was in the audiobook list chosen by our librarians, whoever those librarians are on Libby. So it's a true crime story about Attila Ambrose. He's a professional hockey player in Budapest in the 1990s. The catch is, he's not actually paid to play hockey. He's paid to be the custodian of the hockey team, but he's on the hockey team. He's evidently not very good. But because he makes almost no money as the custodian, he ends up becoming a bank robber. And he was an incredibly successful bank robber. So it's this great story of his hockey career, his bank robbery career, and the bumbling idiots who didn't catch him right away. So I mean, it was like sitting in my car laughing while I listened to this audiobook. And I have suggested it to a ton of different people. And sometimes when I'm making book suggestions, it's like, am I making a book suggestion as Ellen personally, or am I making a book suggestion as a librarian? And this is one where I'm willing to put myself out there and be like, this is Ellen personally saying, I loved this book. It was so much fun. Considering it's nonfiction, it's a pretty light read. So that was one of my big picks so far this year.
I'm going to add that to my TBR list. I love nonfiction books that are weirder stories than any author could come up with.
For sure.
I'm trying to think of like another example like that's funny. I can think of a lot of like Eric Larson writes a lot of books. Or Devil in the White City is another one where it's just like so many strange coincidences that like if a fiction author wrote it, you'd be like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, so this one was fun.
Sounds like a good future Netflix doc.
Yeah, it does.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
They can pump those things out in a weekend.
Yeah.
I also have a nonfiction pick. As I said before, I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks, and when I actually read, it's usually early in the morning, and I'm reading art books. So one particular one that was really interesting was The Art of Beatrix Potter, and it was beautifully, like the color plates in the book are fantastic. She was a great watercolor artist that I don't think is recognized as such, and this was in late 1800s, early 1900s. So as a woman, she was really like, she's such an interesting story of her life that I had no idea. I have also never even read any of her books until just recently. We happened to have one of her books in our kids' library of stuff, just kind of like fell into my lap. And it's just, her story is sad, but also extremely interesting. She did a section of her life where she was just obsessed with mushrooms and would just do watercolor illustrations of mushrooms that she was trying to get to be published in like a scientific journal. She did get it to happen once, and then they were like, we're good on that now. You should probably go do something else. So it's that classic tale for, women of that time. And yeah, she was just an amazing artist with a very interesting life. And it goes between her art, her life, growing up in these different sections of, she was in Scotland and parts of England, that just the nature of being there fed her stories of the, Peter Rabbit and all of that.
Yeah.
She also came up with the silliest possible names for her characters. And it's just so funny that, this British woman came up with these ridiculous names, but it was great.
It's the British way.
I love a biography about those old authors. Like some really good biographies that I've read years ago was about Lewis Carroll, and who was, Alice in Wonderland, and one of the other ones J.M. Barrie, the Peter Pan. Like learning about them and like why they wrote, like what they ended up writing about, are some of my favorites.
Actually, I have a recommendation for both of you. It's I read this book 2 years ago now. It's a graphic novel called Mythmakers. Have either of you heard of it?
No.
It's a twin biography of Lewis Carroll and J.R.R. Tolkien, and it's about their friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with them as, when they're in college and they meet one another, and then they start their writing society, and it kind of follows both of their friendships and their careers
So they were
basically
really
until their
friends?
death. Yeah, they were
Really?
really good friends, and they inspired one another and had long chats where they would
That's so funny.
wax poetic and philosophical about all of their works, and it was really good. It's a good graphic novel, but it's also a great biography.
I'll definitely check that out.
Mythmakers.
Mythmakers, write that down.
If we don't have it in the library, I will donate my copy because it should be wider read.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next. So I usually read a nice split nonfiction to fiction, but this year I'm really heavily leaning into fiction. So most of my recommendations are fiction. And the first one I want to highlight, I just finished recently. It's called Rasputin Swims the Potomac by Ben Fountain. Have you heard of this one? It has a very memorable cover if you see it. So this is a satire about our political times we live in. It's about an egotistical president who's preparing his campaign for his controversial third term by aligning himself with a popular professional wrestler named Rasputin, who possesses the supernatural ability to heal people from a mysterious illness sweeping the nation called the weeping sickness.
This could be nonfiction.
Are you sure it's fiction?
It's very, very funny. It's obviously a satire of what's going on right now. And when I first saw this book looking through our book journals when we're ordering the books, I'm like, ew, I don't know. Is it too soon? Is it this is too on the nose? This has been done before and not well. So I was a little skeptical going into it. But I will say Ben Fountain really nails I'm mixing metaphors now. He walks the line perfectly of obviously talking about what's going on currently without going too crazy. And I think he does that by adhering so closely to reality. So I think that's where a lot of authors or satirists and, comedy news shows and stuff go wrong is they just go, they crank up the volume too much. Or they go a little overboard when our reality that we're living in now is already so crazy and farcical that all you have to do is just copy and paste what's actually happening in the world into a book and just change some names, and it becomes, when you're reading, you're reading fiction, but when you're reading it as a novel, it connects with you as a reader because you're reading it and you're saying, what a ridiculous situation they found themselves in. And then in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, wait, that was a straight up headline from 2 months ago. And I don't know, it's a really effective takedown of our current political system without being so explicit. It's, I don't know. You have to read it to experience it. He walks that line perfectly where it's a satire, it's being comedic, but it's literally lifting things straight from the headlines. It's a very, very entertaining book too. If you're not interested in any of that stuff, it goes to some wild places. The characters are well developed, and if you like political stuff at all, I mean, this is right up my alley. I'm a huge fan of Veep. If you like the show Veep, this is sort of that kind of tone too. So yeah, that's my first recommendation. Rasputin Swims the Potomac by Ben Fountain. It's really funny.
Sounds good.
Nice summer book too.
Yeah.
So one book that I really liked this year that I did read was called Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. It's from last year. And have any of you heard of it? Because it's super weird. It's a very weird book. The whole premise is very weird. It's like a romance story, but not really, because the protagonist, she's in love with airplanes and she's obsessed with them, and she's obsessed with riding them, and it's like she's sexually obsessed with them, right? So it's a really weird. Yeah, so she goes and she rides planes. She'll go and she'll just take a flight to go somewhere. Doesn't matter the destination as long as she's on a very specific airplane. She's neurodivergent. She's actually a really funny neurodivergent character. I love neurodivergent characters. There should be more protagonists like that. The plot's very unique. Ultimately, though, it's about knowing who you are. And she definitely knows who she is. She wants to marry a specific plane, and she thinks that by dying in a plane crash, that's how she will wed this particular airplane that she wants to be with. Of course, she has a few friends. They all think she's, crazy. This is obviously it's not normal. It's like it, but it's unexpectedly heartwarming. And I know it doesn't sound like it would be. It's just like an interesting, unique book. And it was like a really easy read. It was funny. It was really funny. And it got like some really good reviews. So, if you like something weird.
I love things that are weird. That sounds great.
Yeah, you might like it. So try it. It wasn't even that big.
It almost sounds like Chuck Palahniuk.
There's one book, right? It's like the countdown to a plane crash.
Something, but it just sounds like something I used to read more of his stuff. I haven't read him in a long time, but just a weird, very weird conceit, but maybe not as dark as he would go.
Yeah. This was amusing. But I am excited for one book that I'm about to read. The last Heartstopper book came out yesterday, so I'm very excited. The final book in the series. So that one, I'm finally looking forward to reading something, I feel.
Nice.
Hopefully today, yeah.
That's the end of it?
That's the end of the series, yeah.
Wow.
The author, Alice Oseman, she does webtoons, so all the comics are up on there. But I have purposely not read any of the comics so that I could just read it all in one book. And
so after she's done a certain number of webcomics, they release it as
publishes
in a book format.
And it's a romance, so it ends happy.
As it should.
As it should, of
Love
course.
some HEA.
Yeah.
I have a few more recommendations. Does everyone have like a list of stuff they want to talk about, or?
I have a book I hated.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It's going to be so controversial. It's one of my banned books.
Oh.
I read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde.
Ah.
I read that one at the gym, actually, and I hated it. And I think it's because it was not written for me. It was like the characters, like Dorian Gray is a despicable character to me, but like he's a misogynist. There's a lot of anti-Semitism that doesn't track well for me. He's an entitled rich dude, which I know is like who he's supposed to be. And I know like the whole point of the book and the reason it was banned is because of his opulent life, but also because of the completely unspoken homosexuality. And none of that resonated with me. And I know that for a completely different audience, it would be a book that was kind of supportive, like how to, like struggling with your own homosexuality and that kind of thing. But like for me, he was just such a despicable character, and his whole lifestyle and the way he treated other people was so unsavory. I was like, ew. Ew. So I feel like I can't recommend it, but I know it's just like it's on the list of books you should read.
It's not for everyone, all those books.
Not every book has to be for everyone.
Yeah.
I haven't read it since high school, or maybe even earlier than that. When did everybody else?
I never read that.
Never read it.
It was definitely not on any of the reading lists for me in high school, for sure. Would have been way too controversial.
Same.
That was Oscar Wilde?
Oscar Wilde. He's just, the character is like so disrespectful to everybody around him, and like the whole lifestyle is just kind of gluttonous and gross.
Yeah, when you're reading any sort of like classic literature like that, you have to separate your current lifestyle from, because the people who were writing books back then were all rich people, so who were living a very different lifestyle.
Who could afford to be a writer other than somebody who had, no reason to really work.
All right. Well, I have a low light while we're talking about low lights. So this book won the Pulitzer Prize this year, Angel Down by Daniel Kraus. I got it as a gift because I had expressed interest in it. I read the whole thing, didn't care for it. And then I doubled down on Daniel Kraus and I read Whale Fall, which Moby Dick's my favorite book. I like whales. I'm like, whales? Come on, how bad can it be? At least it has that. At least it has that like baseline of whales. Like I can like that much. This book's terrible, and I only read it because it's being adapted into a film, and I have to watch every movie that comes out. So I'm like, well, I have to read the book before I watch the movie. Something about Daniel. I mean, he's winning award after award. He's a best-selling author. People like him. He just is not jiving with me at all. I don't like his prose. I don't like the way he structures his stories. He's also gross. there's so much grotesque violence in Angel Down, and Whalefall is just gross. I don't get it. I don't know who the audience is for it, but I mean, I wish him the best, but I gave him 2 chances and I'm done.
Sounds like critics are his audience.
I guess so. I don't know what the appeal is, but
I have, along the same lines, a book that everyone is really into right now that I will stay as far away from as possible. Dungeon Crawler Carl. I have no interest in that book. I do not want to read it. It sounds super basic, and it's very popular right now. It's Matt Dinian. And it's from what I have read of it, it is very much it's very video gamey / tabletop RPG, like classic Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but with video games. And this is one of those really popular books right now. It's going to be adapted into something.
I think Amazon just bought it. I think it's going to be a show.
And I think you can it's not available through Libby, which is a big,
It's an Audible exclusive.
which I hate that.
Like Frida McFadden.
I hate Frida McFadden. But yeah,
I've not read her.
Sorry.
Can't lie.
Marianne, I'm
She's
sorry.
the reason I'm reading now.
She's my life.
Sorry.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just one of those books that actually with Frida McFadden, I knew going into it, like, I'm probably not going to like this. But I did read one of her books, and I really hated it.
Which one did you read?
Which one was it? The Teacher.
See, that was one of my favorites.
That was when everyone was reading it. Like, literally everyone in the library was reading it. So I was like, all right, I'll try this out. And I didn't like it, but I tried it out. Yeah. This one, maybe I'll try it out. But the fact that it's only obtainable through Audible makes it so that I will probably never, unless that changes.
We can get it in print at the library, but the audiobook is actually Audible exclusive.
Similar to Project Hail Mary, super popular right now. I think the audiobook is only available through Audible, but you can get the print one, which...
That makes sense, because Amazon financed the movie. So.
And it's just a side note on that. It's getting very weird for publishing that's a thing now that Amazon is doing, and it's eating into libraries' bread and butter of being able to offer these things to our patrons for free and not needing a subscription for it. So I don't like that.
A side note, because Ellen said that Frida McFadden was an Audible exclusive, but she's on Hoopla.
Oh, so okay, so I'm a little bit backwards on it. It's flip-flopped. You can get the hard copy at the library. You can listen on Libby or Hoopla. Mm-hmm. You cannot get the ebook. The ebooks are exclusive to Kindle.
Yeah. Okay. That is not on Libby. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So clearly somebody made a deal with the devil on that one.
Yeah. It's just it's gross that, like, at libraries, what we're doing, we are not able to provide all of the different formats, especially now that we have, with audiobooks, we don't have CD audiobooks. Do we order any? I don't even think we
don't order them anymore.
Very few.
Very few. So it's more digital, print, or nothing. And that these publishers are siloing it to themselves is very wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that the authors are agreeing to that. Because
they just want their stuff published and they want their money, which is good for you. But think about the universe that you're living in, and how supportive libraries are to authors.
I think you know what I'm about to say, Tim. This is going to be a whole standalone episode, and I'm booking you for it because I could do a whole spiel on disc media going away.
Oh yeah, and I mean, yes, I am very.
Let's
much
save that for that episode that you're now booked.
Yeah, but just getting back to Dungeon Crawler Carl. So maybe I'll read it someday, but I'm also very much a contrarian in my life. So when I see something that's extremely popular, I run away from it usually. And this is easy because I've been listening to audiobooks. I can't get the audiobook. Guess I'm not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
I can basically parrot everything you're saying. I feel the same way about this series. I don't know if this is what it is. Is it that hits a little too close to home with your interests? Where like it's kind of how I feel about Marvel. Where like back when I was younger, 25, 30 years ago, and I was into Marvel, Marvel was not cool. And now that Marvel is popular and cool, I don't want anything to do with it. Because and I feel this. I think this Dungeon Crawler Carl series is sort of the same thing with Dungeons and Dragons and video games. It's like I've been in D&D before it was cool, and now that it's cool, everyone wants to recommend this to me, and I am keeping it at an arm's distance. I think there's something psychological going on now about that. But yeah, same thing. I also, the book covers are so unappealing to me. Like, just looking at the cover, I'm judging it by its cover.
I judge books by their covers all the time.
Future Alex podcast, can we have a whole thing about judging a book by its cover? Because we all do that, right?
This is great. Man, I'm getting 4 episodes out of this episode. This is great.
Since everybody's mentioned a book that they didn't enjoy, I would like to throw one in there as well. I read a teen book called Beth is Dead by Katie Burnett that I didn't really love, but I did read the whole thing because it was an easy, quick book because it was teen. But if you're a fan of Little Women, which I am, I always loved Little Women, it is based loosely off that, where all the March sisters, the 4 March sisters, are in this book, and their father is the author of the Little Women series. And it takes place on New Year's Day when Beth March, she's found dead in the woods. And it's all about like trying to find out who her murderer was, what happened to her. But what I didn't like about it is that each of the surviving March sisters like really didn't even seem to care all that much that their sister was just murdered. Seemed like very unrealistic of the March sisters. And, you know, they're trying to track down her killer, but like none of the sisters are like mourning their sister, where in the real book of Little Women, you know, one of the sisters does die, I think Amy. And, you know, it's tragedy is explored a little bit in there. And I feel like it just wasn't in this one. But, you know, it was a teen book. I'm glad I read it. I did read. Wait, I do want to give a...
Before you move on, are you done with this book? Because I have something to say.
Book. Yeah.
All right. I did not read Beth is Dead, but my wife did, and she loved it.
Really?
So I do want to say because there's a contrary opinion on there. And not only did she like it, she interviewed the author for her podcast, Katie.
Don't tell her
Burnett,
what I said then.
Right? Burnett.
She's listening right now.
Oh my God, Katie Burnett's listening, or Megan Megan's listening.
So there is a 2-degree separation between you and the author.
That is true.
But yeah, I just wanted to put out there. My wife did enjoy it, so
I wonder,
maybe it's not for you.
Yeah, I wonder what.
And she also loves Little Women, so
yeah. Interesting.
It just didn't click for you.
Yeah, it just didn't click for me.
Should I plug her podcast? I feel like I should since I mentioned it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because and which episode was that? Like how long?
My wife's podcast is Meg's Reading Room, where she interviews authors, and it's episode 112, where she interviews Katie Burnett.
Okay, I'll have to listen to that one so I could hear the flip side of my review. But a teen book that I did read this year that I really enjoyed is called Finding Her Edge. And it's a local author. Her name is Jennifer Icapelli, and we're lucky enough to have her cousin work at the library. And we had Jennifer Icapelli come to the library to talk about Finding Her Edge, which was made into a Netflix series this year, and then it was picked up for a second series. And it was just announced that her second book is coming out in that series. It's a little bit different. Netflix made some changes, but both the show and the book is really good. And that was a really fun teen book to read. Bromance, ice skating came out, you know, during the Winter Olympics. So that was a fun read this year.
Hockey and ice skating is so hot right now.
I know.
Ironically.
I know. But, I mean, hockey is just like the side, you know? It's the romance. Yeah.
What's funny is because of that,
making
hockey
all
is still
these...
like the fourth or fifth most popular sport in America.
It's probably like under pickleball now.
Yeah, I think so. But it's good for fiction.
Yeah,
hot fan
so
thing.
good.
Right now.
Yeah, so good for fiction because hockey players. Duh.
Can I go next? I want to talk about another really fun book that I enjoyed this year. Chuck Klosterman, who is a cultural writer, he had a book come out this year called Football, and it's all about football, American football. So if you've ever read Chuck Klosterman before, seeing this title might have thrown you because he's a nerd's nerd. He's a music writer. He writes about subcultures of like 90s music and indie music, and that's kind of his wheelhouse. So to see him start talking about sports, I think a lot of people were kind of thrown, and I was too, until I started listening to it. And actually, I listened to it and read it. In his intro of the book, he realizes that, and he kind of addresses it right away. And he says, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I am actually a huge football nerd. And he kind of traces back his whole history. He's been watching football religiously his entire life. His family's a big football family. So he kind of paints that picture. So for the rest of the book, he applies all of the nerdy stuff that you come to know and love about Chuck Klosterman's writing and applies it to football. So it's broken up into, 15 or so chapters, and each chapter is sort of like a short history on some aspect of football. So he does a whole chapter on like Canadian football. He does a whole chapter on like how football is captured on camera. Like how like camera angles and versus seeing it in live are different. Very different. And his depth of knowledge is shocking. But speaking as a not a huge sporto, you will absolutely find enjoyment from this book if you are not as up to date with football statistics and everything as he obviously is. He's so humorous. The way he writes is very, very funny. If you like, David Sedaris, I guess, would kind of be sort of in this sort of the same style, but it's just so funny. And it's very interesting too. So here's like another quick fact that I got from the book. So out of the top 100 most watched TV events in the United States every year, 93 of them are football games.
Oh my God.
Is that crazy?
America kind of likes football.
America.
Yeah. You recommended this book to me months ago, and I added it to my want to read list. And I've been waiting till football really gets started again. I've always been on and off with football, especially being a Jets fan. If there's nothing, I've been this way even with the Knicks sometimes. If they're garbage, the Mets too. I have all the bad teams. Not Knicks anymore, but if it's bad, I'm not going to watch it. So now that the football's starting to come around again by the end of the summer, I will be definitely reading this book because it's good to parallel it with the actual season.
I get
that
it.
starts.
Yeah, it's just full of so many interesting anecdotes. You get little bits of trivia. So even if you're, again, not like a big sports person, I think you can listen to it or read it, enjoy it, and pick out a few things that, like, whatever, you're at a football game party or something, you can whip out a few interesting facts and kind of turn some heads at a party.
Or the one time where you watch football during the Super Bowl.
Exactly. So again, and it's fun. He does go super in depth on some stuff, but he keeps it very interesting. It's a very bouncy read. It's a great audiobook. I really recommend. It's definitely my top 3 of the year.
So I'm never gonna read that.
Same, girl.
But I have read Chuck Klosterman in 2022. He wrote The 90s.
Yes,
That is one that I read. And I love the 90s time period because that was my high school and my college years. It was only a couple years ago to me. I refuse to believe that it was like 30 years ago. Yeah. And it was a really good book for any like Gen X, maybe older millennial. He was, his facts, yes, just brought back like a lot of nostalgia. That was a really good book. I don't remember details because I did read it when it came out in 2022, and I can't remember books like past, a day of reading them.
I love the 90s. That was a great book.
Right? Yeah. So if you're, a fan of him, I definitely read it. Or
who wants to go next?
All right. I have a book that I just finished. Not at all an uplifting read. It's called Miracle: The Boys Who Escaped the Gas Chamber at Auschwitz by Michael Calvin and Naftali Schiff. So evidently there were 51 young boys who were literally in a gas chamber at Auschwitz, and I guess really just a miracle. For some reason, they were literally pulled out of the gas chamber to go plant potatoes. It was supposed to be 50, but one boy managed to sidle his way in there. So definitely not an uplifting read, even though it's about the survival of these young men. Unfortunately, I was a little disappointed in the book. I felt like it could have been organized better. It had a lot of what I understand is necessary background information about life in the camps and how these Hungarian boys ended up there. And, you know, like you need all of this auxiliary information for it to make sense. But I wish that the several men who were of this group of the original group of 51, the ones who were interviewed and whose life stories were told, I wish that there'd been more focus on them. Like maybe if it had been organized differently so that we had the background and then like interspersed with that, like a full story kind of from beginning to end for each of these characters. I hate saying characters because they're real people, but I felt like I lost some of my connectivity to the story of each of these boys. So not really one I'd recommend, but an important piece of history that should be kept. And it's a good thing that somebody collated it, but I was a little disappointed. And it was one where I was like, am I going to finish this? Like, yeah, I want to see this one through. But I felt like it could have used maybe stronger editing is what it really needed.
I wonder if there just wasn't enough records to tell all the characters' stories, or would that have been too long of a book? Maybe the editor did cut it.
I think that the authors searched for as many of the stories as they could find, and you know, surviving men from that group, excuse me, of 51. But you know, not all of them want to tell their story. Not all of them were still alive because they would have been young boys, you know, 9 to 15 years old in 1944. So I think the stories that they did have to tell could have had more weight had they been more linear.
It's a fair criticism.
I mean, it takes, with any nonfiction book, you have to have the right type of author to be able to like make it not so dry and have like a good through line, and not every author can do that.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I was sadly a little disappointed in it. But anyway.
All right. Well, I guess I have one more, and I'll end it on the episode on a recommendation that I really, really loved. So this is a book I was looking forward to more than any other book that came out this year, and it totally lived up to all the hype for me. It's by one of my favorite authors, George Saunders, and the book is called Vigil. So George Saunders is primarily a short stories writer, and his short stories are 5 out of 5 stars, brilliant. He's won the National Book Award, deservedly. His only other novel he's written is Lincoln in the Bardo, which came out a while ago. So this book, Vigil, is a novel, and it's very much in the same style and vein as Lincoln in the Bardo. So if you had read that and you liked that writing style, definitely give this one a look. So the story is basically a conversation between a man on his deathbed and an angel that's come to visit him to sort of ease him into the afterlife, basically. And you find out that this man, it was the CEO of a global oil company. And you find out that the angel is there to try to get him to recompense, or what's the word?
Atone?
Yeah, atone for all the harm that he's done to humanity for his life on the planet. And she's sort of conflicted about her task because he's totally unrepentant, and he's stubborn in his ways, and he's always trying to spin the conversation to say like, oh, but like people wouldn't be able to drive their cars without me, all this stuff. So it's a really interesting conversation between the two of them. There are some other angel characters that come in and with different motivations. I won't kind of spoil that, but it's very interesting. So basically, Saunders' writing style, it's very different in his novels from his short stories. His short stories are very, not experimental. His novels are definitely way more experimental. So it sort of weaves in and out of people's perspectives. Like sometimes it'll switch mid-paragraph. So you'll be speaking from the angel's perspective, And as the angel sort of touches another character or is flying around and passes through another character, it will switch to that character's perspective, and you'll get like a glimpse of almost like their memories. It's not like their first-person perspective. It's more like you get an approximation of what they're feeling or something in that moment. So the book's always kind of weaving in and out of these people's perspectives, and it's just written so beautifully. His prose is just amazing. I can't relate it to any other author who's doing anything like this. It's really, really interesting. So it's sort of like a Christmas Carol, basically a modernization of a Christmas Carol. And Saunders, the themes of the book, Saunders has in all of his work. So it's always about death, religion, the afterlife. Like these themes keep coming back. Lincoln and the Bardo is very much about that as well. But this one is his closest to like Christian iconography he's ever done. Like he himself is a Buddhist, so a lot of his writing has to do with like that sort of afterlife. So this is like a very interesting take on like Christianity sort of view of the afterlife and death, which was very interesting to see of him. But it's just written so beautifully. It's absolutely one of my favorite books of the year, maybe my favorite book of the year. We'll see how it goes. His writing style can take a little getting used to. I know my wife started this book the same day I did, and she dropped it, which I get. It's not for everyone, but if you can hang on to it, and I know we just talked about like
10 hours.
This book
20%.
This book's very short. I think it's under 150 pages.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's very short.
Bite-sized read.
So
I like that.
just hold on, give it a shot, and if you can kind of get into that groove a little bit, it's not something you can really do passively. Like it's active reading. You have to be engaged with it. But if you can kind of click in with it and ride out that wave and figure out his prose style, it's absolutely rewarding. It's worth the effort. So definitely check it out. It's called Vigil by George Saunders. And if you don't click with it, give his short stories a shot. They're a completely different style. It's not very experimental in terms of prose. But he's my absolute favorite short story writer. He's a genius. He has won the Genius Grant, so he's a certified genius. So
Legit.
yeah, check it out. And that is my last recommendation.
Covered a lot.
We covered a lot.
Yeah.
We're almost at the hour mark, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Well, that's it. I think it's been a good year so far.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the second half of the year. I have some more books I'm looking forward to. Maybe we'll chat about those when we do our best of the year episodes, and I'm sure I'll have all of you back on again. So thank you all for joining me, Tim, Marianne, Ellen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And listeners, we'll check you next time between the shelves.